What is up, guys? Welcome back to another pathetic MotoVlog by Forzerotoo. Did I just say MotoVlog instead of MotoVlog? Meow! Feels so good to be back on the bike, guys. You have no freaking idea. Oh, and sorry I haven't seen you guys in like 2 weeks, man. I've been busy and the weather has been shit. So let me give you a little rundown. The last video that I made was 2 weeks ago today that I recorded it, and you know, that was a hot day, but I was feeling real motivated. I just had to get out and record. And then it was hot, man. Like, we had heat indexes of like 110 to 115 every day. The lows at night were like 85 to 90 degrees. And so it just didn't cool down. And it was way too miserably hot to be out on the bike, even squidding like I do, man. You know, I couldn't bring myself to ride. And then last week, I took a week off from work, and my wife put me to work on a porch project, man. We thickened up our posts that run from the floor of the deck all the way up to the ceiling overhang, turning them into a craftsman style design, and it turned out really good, but it took like a whole week, man. So I apologize for not putting up any content for 2 weeks. 2 weeks in the middle of summer, man. Riding season's peak. But it wasn't good riding weather, in my opinion. Like, I'd almost rather ride when it's like 35 degrees outside Fahrenheit, you know, like almost freezing, than 100 plus degrees, you know. It's just, it sucks. Saw, dude. So let's talk a little bit about motorcycle safety and, you know, driving responsibilities, whether you're in a car or on a bike. We have had a ton of bike versus car accidents recently where I live. Saw, dude. And, you know, there really isn't one side or another that's always at fault. I think it can be pretty split 50-50 of, you know, rider skill and driver attention. But it seems to be a lot more common lately for, you know, it's the end of riding season, so people should be used to seeing bikes out. So you'd think that if you heard a bike or saw a bike, you know, you wait a little bit. You got to make sure that you understand the speed at which they're traveling, you know? Like, me on a bike traveling 25 is going to look a lot faster than a car driving 25, you know? So you can't always say like the bike was flying, because it's going to look faster, you know? It's all about that perception. But also, if the bikes look like they're going faster, then wouldn't you think that that would prevent a car from pulling out in front of them if they saw them? So we need to remember, if we're in a car, man, keep that phone out of your hands. Try not to mess with the radio too much. You know, pay attention to the road. Try not to eat while you're driving. There's too many different little things that can happen that just put other vehicles and, you know, especially riders at risk, man. Nobody's at that light, my side or that side. Why did it give the arrow? Oh, life is so hard. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that the car drivers are all at fault. You know, I already said it's a pretty 50-50 mix. But the accidents that have happened here in my area lately seem to be more car at fault. And with that said, go ahead. And there's a responsibility that comes along with being a bike rider, you know, like, you can't You can't just go zipping and flying. There's a time and a place or going fast. You can get away with it, but you know, if you're out on city streets where there's other traffic, other vehicles, especially cars, man, you can't be speeding or zigzagging through traffic. You know, there's a place and a time for it. One of the biggest ones for me, or you know, that I wonder and I'm like, man, were they even thinking, is middle of the night, man, after dark, and there'll be an accident, car versus bike, and witnesses or the statement will come out and they'll say that speed was a factor, that the motorcyclist was going 10 plus over the speed limit. That's not a good time to be doing that shit, man. Like, it's hard enough to be seen on a motorcycle in the daytime with your lights on. I run my bright headlight all the time just to help myself be seen, and people don't see me. So at night, why would you think that they can see you just as good so that you can get away doing, you know, insane speeds? Just, we can't always be in a hurry. And I know, I get it. I'm a rider, man. I like the rush, that feel good, that good old pull, you know, that lean into a corner. It feels great, but be smart about it. It especially grinds my gears when the media or news outlets will go onto Facebook, they'll share the article to the accident, and the people in the comments are like, oh, another motorcycle versus car. That motorcyclist must be speeding, or must have been zigzagging through traffic, or, you know, must have been doing a wheelie. It's like, guys, that's not always the case. There have been plenty of responsible, smart, cautious riders out there that get hurt or killed just because a vehicle driver is not paying attention. So let's do what we can to keep each other safe on the road. I mean, do you want to be responsible for ruining somebody's life or affecting somebody's whole lifetime because they lost a family member? You know, when I hop on the bike, every time I realize it's a risk. So I try to keep my attention level at 200% because I never know when somebody's going to pull out in front of me. I don't know when somebody in front of me is going to slam on the brakes. Granted, a bike can stop a lot quicker than a car most of the time, depending on the surface conditions. But I don't want to leave it all up to that. I don't want to leave it all up to luck of the current conditions and that one spot where something might happen. So I try to leave some distance. I try to, you know, really be able to see ahead of myself of what's going to happen. Think ahead. Think of where you need to go. You can't just leave it all up to chance, guys. You know, and I've said it once, I'll say it again. I really think that as far as, you know, like driving license responsibilities and testing, you need to be retested on at least the written portion every 5 years. Because too many people, even a year or two out of getting their license, or even when they get their license, they forget the simple little things that keep the road safe, and it keeps traffic flowing safely as well, you know? Like, how to work a four-way stop. What do you do if the stoplights are out? Who do you yield to in different situations, especially with the roundabouts popping up all over the country, man? Like, you guys in Britain, the UK, and Australia, anywhere overseas, even South America, you're used to the roundabouts, but here in the States, man, they're kind of a thing that's new, and a lot of people, especially if they've been driving for 30, 40 years, they don't know how to work them. You know, and with that, anybody that's been affected by an accident that's been on two wheels this year, man, my thoughts and prayers go out to you so much. It's one fear of mine. I hope it never happens. And, you know, my wife fears for me all the time. Every time I ride my bike, she's afraid that, you know, I might not make it home on time, or I might not make it home. And it's a realistic fear, you know? Too many people just not paying attention from both sides of it. So let's be safe. Let's get those numbers down. And to anyone that's new to my channel, thank you for coming and checking it out. Welcome to Forzerotoo's MotoVlogs. I hope you enjoy what I put up. If not, oh well. I like it, so that's all that I care about. Until I see you guys again, bye. always such a hard dilemma. Which car is going to go faster, left or right? Left or right? It all depends on who's feeling